Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Brett Allan from the Open Mic Podcast. Thanks for being a part of today's episode. And as you can tell, this is a live stream. If you're listening to this later down the road, you'll hear us referencing a lot of different things. We can see each other, and this will be broadcast later on our stream. But today, live, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Bear Walker, and he is a pop culture enthusiast and lover of all things pop culture. I'll tell you, he has created some amazing skateboards, is what he designs. And I'm going to throw this picture up here periodically through our episode, but this is just an example of some of the work that he has done. It's unbelievable. This is Pokemon, Mario. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm going to bring him on. Welcome to the show, Bear. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Well, you are, as I mentioned earlier, you're a pop culture enthusiast. You love all things pop culture, and you also marry that idea with skateboards, which I think is really cool. Let's talk about that and just let us know how this kind of all started for you and what this is all about.
Sure, man. Well, I've been a big movie comic book buff my whole life. I actually worked in a movie theater all through high school. That's where I got like my core group of friends and where we would geek out and always talk about, movies coming out and like, do fan casts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyway, I went to school originally to be an architect and found out I was too dumb for that. So I had to pick
Okay.
I had to pick another major and picked graphic design. And yeah, this was like I graduated in like 2011, so economy was just like complete shit, and wasn't much work out there for artists. But yeah, so I had to bounce around and do a bunch of different odd jobs. Like I was a custom fabricator for a prop company, and then I was a custom sign maker. And yeah, it's when I was doing those signs that, like tearing my hands up every day that I realized the carving was really good friction and thought it'd be cool just to make a skateboard out of it. And
Okay.
made one for myself. People started asking where I got it from, and it kind of just rolled from there, man. Like, and I was lucky enough to where I finally like had the vision to infuse my love for pop culture in with this new style of skateboard that I'd created. And yeah, all my little odd jobs kind of melded into one, and now I'm doing custom woodwork pop culture skateboards.
That's crazy. Now, the thing that makes your skateboards different from the others is that it doesn't require the grip tape, right? That's kind of the defining mark.
Right. Yeah, actually, so I have a patent pending on this grip that I developed where it's yeah, just these carved out little pyramids that actually make a really cool looking texture and a really grippy surface, but allows me to airbrush and hand paint these background elements so I can create like whole landscapes or pieces of scenery on top of the board where you can actually enjoy it as opposed to underneath it when you're riding it.
Okay, so I'm not a skateboarder, but I know people who are. So for those who are watching this later or listening to this later, this is a patent pending thing. But apparently, how does this help skateboarders? Like, what is the difference? Like, why would you not need grip tape versus needing it? If that question makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's really more of a preference thing, Like I grew up surfing and I wanted to create something that mimicked the feel of surfing. So it's a cruiser style board. It's really smooth, but the grip on top, you can ride it barefoot. It actually feels kind of good. But yeah, there's no need to replace grip tape. It doesn't look all shitty after you ride for a while and get dirt all over it. It's easy to clean out. But the big thing is just something different. I'm not going to
Okay.
say like it works like so much better than grip tape. It is a little grippier than grip tape.
Okay.
But yeah, it's more of like it works just as good, if not slightly better than grip tape, but it just looks way cooler.
Okay. So it's almost like
Yeah,
a cosmetic thing to a point, right?
for sure. Yeah, it's like different grips on the bottoms of shoes. Like if you have like a Vans or something like that, that waffle pattern is just like classic and it looks cool. It might, the different grips work a tiny bit differently, but it's not like you're going to put on, a pair of Vans and a pair of Converses and be like, oh man, I got so much traction. Yeah, I mean, like there's going to be like, oh, these are comfortable, and that's what we build our boards for, is like comfort and style.
Yeah, they're pretty sick. Like I said, I throw this picture up earlier, And I find this just to be, I mean, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different designs, but it looks like too that the shape is a little bit different than a normal skateboard, right?
For sure. Yeah. So that's probably my biggest. Let's see. It's not a pet peeve. Like my big. I'm pretty OCD about stuff and shapes. Just like I love them and they drive me crazy. Like I'll spend a week or two making an actual design. I will spend months developing a shape. You know, just because
Really?
like, yeah, the lines just have to be clean and smooth and then like I'll design something that looks awesome, then I'll write it and it's like, oh well, that didn't work. You know. So it's like I want them to look really aesthetically pleasing, but also has to function well. And that's, another marriage that I found really intriguing about making boards. But with those Pokemon ones, I wanted to look good. I wanted to ride really well, but it also kind of mimicked the shape of a Pokedex, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. So if anybody, no, I'm 46. I imagine we're probably kind of in the same age range, a little bit. But you were a Pokemon guy, then I'm guessing, like
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
us.
yeah. Well, I'm actually 32, so thanks for calling me out for looking older. But no,
Okay.
but yeah. So I was in middle school when like Pokemon was like really
Okay.
thriving. Yeah, so it's like I I I am heavily into pop culture, but more importantly, I think is more the pop culture nostalgia. I
Sure.
like doing stuff for like 90s and 2000 kids where like luckily that's all coming back around where, kids right now like that nostalgic stuff, but like it's more paying tribute to the kids of like the 90s and early 2000s where now they can afford the nicer things that they couldn't when they were kids. So I'm trying to make
Yeah.
these like higher end collectible uh
Okay.
nostalgia pop culture things.
Right. Well, and that's true. I mean, in middle school, who has $300 for a skateboard? Nobody.
Right.
And I think
Yeah,
if you even asked your parents for something like that, they probably would have just strung you up
for
and
sure.
been like, "Are you insane?" Now, these skateboards have gotten a lot of attention from the celebrity culture and that sort of thing. You've made some custom decks for a lot of different folks. How
Mhm.
did these get their attention? Like, at what point did you start getting requests from people like Zachary Levi and
Um,
all kinds of people, a specific deck for them?
well, I don't know. I always push the value of hustle. Yeah, I mean, like, I most of the time when I first started off, it was just like I would imagine what like a celebrity I was going for would want as a custom board, and I would just go ahead and make it, and then I'd tag them
Okay.
and get people to tag them and try reaching out through DMs and all that. And that was like my original course of action. Um, and so yeah, like Grant Gustin and Jason Momoa and all that, that's how I got those deals kind of done. But yeah, now that I've kind of become a little more ingrained in pop culture itself, which is awesome, I usually am like 1 degree of separation away from someone I want to work with. So like I'll have a buddy and be like, yo, can you hook me up with Zachary Levi? And that's how that Zachary Levi thing happened.
That's very cool. And has folks like Tony Hawk and all these guys, have they been made aware of what you're doing? Have you created for anything for people like that, or you're still kind of in that zone where you're starting to still kind of get their attention?
Well, I have a mutual friend with Tony Hawk too, and so we're
Oh, nice.
I'm thinking about reaching out at some point soon. But we're killing it right now, which is great and it's weird to say, but I got so much like stuff on my plate right now that I'm not really trying to find new things at the moment. I'm just trying to
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, I get it.
oh yeah, for sure. Well, like the biggest thing about my company is quality. Like people get the boards and they love the craftsmanship in it. So we're expanding right now, and like I'm really focusing on keeping the quality at the same
Got it.
level while making so many more boards. So like I'll probably start that like hustle again in like 6 months or so. But yeah, right now it's just like focusing internally on making sure that everything we put out is still like top notch.
How long does it take you to create a board from start to finish? Like from concept to actually testing it to selling it or getting it into the hands of, whoever you're trying to get into the hands of?
I mean, it really depends. So, like an average custom is probably about 20 hours. When I'm developing a product line and making a bunch of different SKUs and getting them ready for like a huge launch, like hundreds of hours, but the cool thing is, like, once I am done with those 100, 200 hours of designing, like being really analytic of a shape, making sure it rides well, making sure that it can be like mass produced. Basically, after all that's done, each board is about an hour and a half to 2 hours once it actually gets to mass production.
Unbelievable. Now, obviously, you're using these pop culture type things like Mario or Pokemon and whatever the case might be. How does that piece of this business work? Do you license out these characters, or how do you do that part? Like, as far as being able to put this person or a persona or character on a board and sell it, do these other companies have a part of that, or how does that piece work?
I mean, that was like a ladder I had to climb too. When I first started, it was almost doing fan art, like I would make pieces that
Okay.
with companies that I
Commissions.
wanted to do, but yeah, and then they wouldn't be for sale, but now, like the Pokemon one was a direct collaboration with Pokemon. We were
Oh,
actually the
nice.
first, yeah, so that was great. We got an NBA one dropping this month. That's a direct collaboration. We got some licensing deals with some bigger companies that'll be coming out over the next, few months. But yeah, so it's all legit now, which is always good.
No, no, yeah, I know, right? So it's going from like fan fiction, fun things to this is cool, and people are like, I want that. And you're like, well, I can't sell it to you.
Right.
But
Yeah,
this is what it looks
exactly.
like. Well, if you ever wanted to make an open mic podcast one, I would buy one for sure, and hang it on my wall back here.
We'll work
Now,
something out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about just your love and affinity for pop culture overall. Growing up, like what were some of the things that you enjoyed the most of? Like what types of films, what types of TV shows? Like what were you
Mhm.
into?
I think my favorite thing about pop culture is like how much it brings people together, and you can have endless conversations, whether it's like fan fiction or even just talking about how you thought, like how you interpreted a movie or a comic book or whatever. So it started out for me with my grandpa, like as like when I was like one, he was taking me to the movie theater. We'd see 2 or 3 movies a week. I'm pretty sure I saw just about every movie that came out in theaters from like 1990 to like 2015.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so it's, and even the like the crappy stuff, it's good to have in like your repertoire, I guess, because like you can pull out that like nonsense pop culture facts out of nowhere. But yeah, it was really just you know seeing movies every week with my grandpa, and then seeing movies every week with my friends, and then seeing movies every week with my girlfriend or whatever, and it's just like something that you can do together. And just like, even if you're politics are a huge thing right now, and it's always bullshit, and it's like you can argue about who the next villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be, and it'll still be fun, even if you're on opposing sides. It's like the argument's fun, and that's
Yeah.
what I love about it. And that's what I love about making the boards out of, because it's like, I can be like, what board should I make next? And then like my following will all get in the comments and like talk about what they'd like to see, and help inspire the next generation of what my next line of boards would be.
Yeah, and the sky is really the limit, right? As far as what you can create, like there's no limitations on what you could put on a board. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
pretty true.
Well, I mean, yeah, pop culture can be movies or music or like anime or like basketball. Like everything kind of dives into pop culture as long as it's in the public eye. Reality TV, even though I don't really want to dive into that. But yeah, it's like there is dedicated fan bases for so many different things, and most of them are pretty appealing to me. So it's a fun job for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you have just really created something that is different and unique. And of course, you have the patent pending piece as well without the grip tape, and really these different shapes and sizes of the board that just makes it special and a lot of fun. What are some ideas that you have coming up of things that you want to create that you would be able to discuss?
We have some electric boards coming out, and that's a whole different avenue as far as like the engineering side of things. So that's fun. I just started making electric guitars, so that's been pretty fun. and that opens up a whole new avenue where I can collaborate with musicians and you know, still do pop culture stuff, carving into these electric guitar bodies. Um, let's see, a way bigger apparel line coming out, so that allows me to, you know, like with my boards, it has to kind of convert to carving. Like I have to be able to carve it out of a piece of wood and it'll look good. With these expanded collaborations with apparel, they can be like really like high color, high resolution images. So that's pretty dope. Um, we're getting this new flatbed printer in, so I can like I'll be printing on like Xboxes and all kinds of weird
Oh,
stuff. Just like
wow.
anything creative, you know, that I can do with like the machinery I have in my shop now. I'm just always trying to expand it
How
and
big of
do
a
like
team do
fan
you
service.
have? Oh, wow.
Uh,
How big of a team do you have, or is it just you right now?
Right now, or here, so a little perspective on the company. About a year and a half ago, it was just me. Now I have 9 employees. We should have 4 more in the next month, and then we'll probably have about 20 employees by the middle of next year.
Wow. So this
Yeah, it's
is
been nuts.
expanded quite well. So what drives you, Bear, as a creative? Like what gets you up in the morning and motivates you to continue to create, whether it's a board, an Xbox, whatever. What
Yeah,
drives Bear Walker as a creative?
mostly just like meshing different fields. So like, you know, like the art side of things, and then like the fabrication side of things. You know, so it's like that's what drew me to skateboards to begin with. They have to look nice, but like it doesn't really mean anything if they don't function well. So it's like, you know, having a new idea for a different shape or some way to like inlay something into it, or you know, a new thing to like put underneath the truck so that it like carves harder, or whatever, you know, some way to mesh functionality and art, and it's always more possibilities. Even when I think like there's like no way this could get any better, then I'll like make a mistake 6 months later, and it's like, oh, that would be actually really cool if I did it on purpose for this thing, you know? Um, so yeah, just like having basically just working hard and buying time in between those like aha moments when like I can make like functionality and art mesh even more closely.
If you weren't designing skateboards and you weren't doing this, what else would you see yourself doing, if anything at all?
Oh, dude, I have no idea. I put all my eggs in this basket, man.
A
uh,
true
yeah,
entrepreneur at heart.
For sure, man. Yeah, you know, I started the first one of these. I started a skateboard company in 2013 with the same idea, and it failed. And then I spent 2 years saving up money to buy machinery again and started up this version. So, like, yeah, from as soon as I had like the idea of this, I put everything into it. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be like living in Costa Rica or something, you know, just like bumming it, which doesn't sound
Yeah,
too
I
bad
know,
either.
right? Just, I mean, and I imagine too, since we've been on this lockdown, I mean, you're still able to work, obviously, and create, correct?
Yeah, I have a small crew, so it's you know, it hasn't been too difficult. We all of our stuff is made US based, you know, even our materials are US based, so we haven't hit too many snags, fortunately. And a lot of people are trying to get outside right now, so the skateboard industry is booming. Yeah, so we've lucked out in multiple aspects during this thing.
Do you have any intentions to market this nationwide as far as like putting them in skate shops and things like that? Or you just really want to keep this as just a boutique type business?
Well, I mean, we sell all over the world right now just from our site. Uh, but yeah, I originally tried to do the skate shop route, and everyone kind of just laughed in my face. So, like, what is this thing? You know what I mean? So I had to develop a whole different sales channel and just do online, and built all my stuff online. And so, with that in mind, um, you know, I kind of just went to only doing online sales. But we are starting to open Bear Walker brick and mortar skate shops, and
Okay.
that's the only place you'll be able to find them.
And I imagine the retail market too is probably a hard one to get into, period. And especially when you're doing something like unique and niche like this. Like, I mean, skateboards
Mhm.
aren't unique and niche, but these designs that you have, you know, developed, like we'll throw this up again. That's not a normal skateboard that most people would be used to, but my goodness, the colors are just so beautiful and the designs are so intricate.
Thanks, man.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they're so cool. Like it makes me wish I could skateboard.
Well,
um,
half our customers hang them on a wall, but
yeah, no, that's what I would do. Definitely, is I would throw it on my wall back here. Um, that's funny. Well, these are so cool, and I mean, they're just beautiful. Is
thanks, man.
there, yeah, and you've kind of just done it all. And if people want to check them out or get in touch with you, Bear, how can they do that?
It's plug time, huh? Cool. Yeah. So on Instagram, you can find us at Bear Walker Official, or you can go to my site bearwalker.com.
Yes. And I mean, you just Google you and your name comes up in your picture and these really cool skateboards. And I'm sure, and hopefully all these other guys like Hawk and Deer Deck and, just these list of iconic boarders would, that gets their attention, because I think that you're creating something. And I think backing up, that's kind of the idea of an entrepreneur or when you're starting something is to create something that's different and unique. And you definitely have hit the mark on that. And
Appreciate it, man.
so you do pop culture, you do music, you do it all. And they're very cool. So if you're listening to this later, we'll put this in the show notes here in a couple weeks. And if you're watching the live stream, just Google bearwalker.com and you can get in contact with him and pick up a really cool skateboard. Yeah. Last question,
Sure.
other than that, what has been keeping you busy during the lockdown and quarantine, or are you just working all the time?
Yeah, man, just working all the time. That's not a bad thing. It's I've just started giving myself Sundays off, and now it's like on Sundays I'm like, all right, well, what the hell do I do? So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I've focused so much on building my company that like now I'm kind of focusing on getting that balance where I'm like focusing a bit more on my personal life as well. But yeah, anyway, we're just expanding production. That's my new form of creativity now, is trying to figure out how to make more boards and get better collaborations, or not better, more collaborations. Yeah, and just keep growing and keep doing innovative stuff to stay relevant.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being a part of the show. Be
Thank
sure to
you.
check out this episode at the openmicpodcast.show. It's brought to you by Cheap Seat Entertainment. Bear, thanks for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it was awesome.